Dick Smith is a modern-day pioneer. The savvy entrepreneur founded the successful retail company Dick Smith Electronics in his mid-20s, only to sell the business for millions 2 decades later.
Outside of the corporate world, Dick is also an avid adventurer who became the first person to fly a helicopter solo around the world. And his love affair with adventure still continues to this day. Dick Smith goes by many titles, but the one that holds firm is groundbreaking Aussie adventurer. He started Dick Smith Electronics in the late 1960s and built a multi-million-dollar empire. But the wealth was nothing compared to the rich feeling of flying through the air.
I'm very excited because I've just pulled out this last map which brings me into Fort Worth, and there was my track when I left nearly a year ago. You've got no idea how happy I am.
The philanthropist is a keen adventurer, and in a helicopter flight in 1983, Dick became the first person to fly solo around the world.
Pilot Dick Smith is a household name in Australia. The wealthy businessman is now shooting for worldwide acclaim.
Because I want to do it. I suppose it hasn't been done before, but mainly because it's going to allow me to see the world in a way that it's never been seen before.
He then circumnavigated the world via the North and South Poles.
It took nearly 2 months for the Dick Smith Explorer to reach the White Continent.
And even completed a record-breaking hot air balloon trip across Australia, solidifying his love affair with the sky. Now Dick is helping other explorers on the path to greatness.
And Dick Smith joins us live at the desk. Welcome, Dick. Lovely to talk to you.
See that footage. Well, it takes me back.
Brings back a few good memories. You've had such a brilliant career. Out of looking at all of that, what's been one of your most fulfilling experiences?
Well, I think probably starting Dick Smith Electronics was my greatest adventure, and to know that even though I don't own it, it's still Aussie-owned and employs hundreds of Australians and does $1.2 billion turnover. Wow. So I'm really happy because Pip, my wife, and myself, we started that with $610. So it's really great that that still exists. I suppose adventure-wise, the solo flight around the world was the hardest, and the riskiest probably was the balloon flights across Australia and from Tasmania, from New Zealand to Australia, because a balloon is uncontrollable, so it's quite risky.
In terms of danger, has there ever been a point where you thought, you know what, I've gone in too deep, I wasn't really ready for this?
Lots of times I've been very frightened. Yeah. In the solo helicopter flight around the world, halfway across the Atlantic, I was so frightened that when we checked the camera footage, it looked as if there was a fault, but in fact it was a tremor in my voice, because I was looking down and the ocean was so rough. I only had one little engine and a little life jacket on, and I realised if the engine failed and I ended up in the drink, I wasn't actually going to live. But luckily the engine didn't fail. I owe my life probably to North American technology.
When it comes to adventure, obviously there is a high risk of danger. You recently lost a very close friend to yours in a chopper accident. Yep. Dick, have you ever hesitated before flying? Oh,
definitely. It's interesting, my friend John Davis, who just lost his life in the helicopter with Richard and Carolyn Green, now they were coming back from Tamworth area. Only 2 years before that, I was coming back in my helicopter. I got to Cessnock, the weather was so bad, I ended up landing in someone's backyard, and I ended up catching the train back to Sydney and went and picked up my helicopter 3 days later because the weather was just so bad. I knew that I could have problems if I flew into the bad weather.
It's not often you hear someone say, I went back and picked up my helicopter.
Yeah. I've done it a number of times, and my wife has done quite a lot of flying with me. She remembers many times when we land and wait, because bad weather, especially when you've got mountains around, it's always a problem.
Yeah. Where does that sense of adventure for you come from?
I think it developed in the Boy Scouts, which I love. That's my Scout badge I've got on here.
There it is.
Oh, no, there it is, yeah. And I think as a Scout we learnt responsible risk-taking, and it's an adrenaline. It's like a drug with myself, and I don't happen to drink alcohol. My drug is adventure. And I'm only worried now that young people are discouraged from doing adventurous things. There are now rules. You can't climb the Three Sisters in the Blue Mountains. The beautiful Balls Pyramid near Lord Howe Island, that's been banned. So what bureaucrats are doing is stopping risk-taking with young people, and that's really terrible, because my risk-taking taught me how to start a business that employs thousands of Australians.
Do you think that's the problem? Because it seems as if, you know, the younger generation is less likely to go beyond the boundaries and to extend themselves.
No, totally discouraged. For example, in the Scouts, I organised this boat trip out to Ball's Pyramid to attempt to climb it near Lord Howe Island. We didn't even ask the Scoutmaster. Now, today, they wouldn't allow young scouts to go on a boat trip of 400 miles over the ocean. They'd say too dangerous, which it was quite risky. So, yes, there's so much feather bedding now and stopping people from what I call responsible risk-taking, and I think that's a real disadvantage, a downer for young people. We're wondering why these people are going to ISIS. Now, is it because we're stopping any responsible risk-taking, so people then go and do irresponsible risk-taking? I wonder.
Two extremes, aren't they?
Talk to us about your lucky charm. You've got a lucky charm that you're passing on to other trailblazers, because I know you're big on, I guess, encouraging other people to be adventurous.
I love, through Australian Geographic magazine, we helped adventurers all the time, and I have a piece of fabric which came from the Southern Cross, Kingsford Smith's plane that went safely around the world. It was given to me by a chap called Ernie Crome, who was a friend of Kingsford Smith's, and he said, Dick, I want you to take this in your helicopter, and if you go right around the world, it'll be... Was it on there?
It was on there,
yeah.
If you go right around the world, it will safely bring you back. Now, I'm patron of the Australian Skeptics, but I didn't have the heart to say to him, look, I don't know if this is... But I put it in the helicopter, came back. In fact, my 5 flights around the world, I've taken that bit of fabric. And then when Jessica Watson sailed around the world, I gave it to her. Gabby Kennard had it, and everyone who's taken it has come back safely. Nice. So maybe there's something in this. But don't tell the skeptics.
You might be a skeptic, Dick, but if you're on a good thing, stick to it.
You're right.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you. Dick Smith's story is just one of many of the incredible tales that is featured at the Australian Museum's Trailblazers exhibition. If anyone wants information, just head across to the Daily Edition website. It's all there.